My name is Lamar Wilson. I'm a poet based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm going to be reading Fenton Johnson's poem, The Banjo Player. I'm interested in how this gaze on Black artistry makes the artist feel. And I'm also interested in the fact that this poem was written by a poet who was probably the first African-American poet in Poetry magazine. I'm still trying to investigate that. I've been asking the editors of Poetry magazine to help me unearth that. But the fact that most people don't know who Fenton Johnson is. The Banjo Player by Fenton Johnson. There is music in me, the music of a peasant people. I wander through the levee, picking my banjo and singing my songs of the cabin and the field. At the Last Chance Saloon, I am as welcome as the violets in March. There's always food and drink for me there, and the dimes of those who love honest music. Behind the railroad tracks, the little children clap their hands and love me as they love Kris Kringle. But I fear that I am a failure. Last night, a woman called me a troubadour. What is a troubadour? For a long, long time, it was just a poem that I loved that sort of captures in a non-attacking way the complexity of everyday folk people, and that this idea of folk music that is attached to the banjo, which was linked to slave culture in the 19th century, in the 20th and 21st century is not. So how do we get here historically? From a place where the banjo player, the essential banjo player, was this African-American Sambo, to now Joan Baez and other people who don't look like him. And so this is a poem that I feel like it's a timeless poem that captures the complexity of the African-American artistic experience of trying to connect with an audience and being misunderstood, even as its compliments. Because the troubadour culture is, historical and very valued, goes back very, very far in Europe, but is not necessarily linked to the African-American experience in a way that this person, probably from Chicago, where Johnson was from, would know. So he feels misnamed. I think for me, it just captures what you feel like when someone comes up to you and says, I really love what you do, but you know they don't fully understand who you are. Yet they feel they understand who you are. They have concretized who you are. It's packageable. It's a troubadour. It's something they can name. We in our culture want to name things. And often the names that we give one another in love and in an effort to connect can make one feel misunderstood or a failure, to feel like you failed to make that connection. And I feel like that's a timeless artistic experience. That's what we're doing when we write poems. We want to connect with other people. And feeling like you failed at doing that is the worst feeling in the world. And so I felt that before many, many times. I've had people come up to me at readings and say similar things like, oh, I love that you sing in your poems, but is that really a poem? Or I love your songs, instead of thinking of them as a poem. And so there's this always already, especially for Black bodies, especially for Black artists, this desire to reach out to a world that has always sort of had a strange relationship to it, the body, the voice, and the experience that it represents in our country, its connection to some horrific things that have happened in our country, and the desire for that connection that is often missed.